government can hide borrowing the way it was hidden in the last budget.
What then will you tell the people? If I look at just the figures of the deficits and how much it keeps fluctuating, at the beginning of a financial year, there is what the National Treasury takes to Parliament, and it's approved as a budget and a deficit. And if I look throughout the year, it always gets adjusted halfway through or midway through the year. 2014-2015, the approved deficit was 417 billion shillings. By the end of the financial year, it had risen to 533 billion shillings, a jump of 28%. If I just go into another one, 2018-2019, the approved deficit was 608 billion shillings. It jumped to 734, 21% jump in deficit. This time, you're going to Parliament seeking a deficit of 664 billion shillings and saying, I want to borrow and stay within this. Are you telling the people of Kenya that the Kenya Kwanza administration in the first year will not go back to Parliament and seek to borrow more than 664 billion?
Let me first explain why when government says we are going to have this deficit, sometimes they have to borrow more because what they had anticipated to collect, they could not collect.
Correct.
That's why collection is very important, number one. Number two, sometimes the measures they want to use to raise the revenue, sometimes they don't pass in Parliament. So if a certain measure that was supposed to raise 20 billion does not pass, then you have 20 billion short. Then you have to borrow to cover that 20 billion. So that's why sometimes it has to change. I want to tell you, I will do my very best, by God's grace. If Parliament approves my budget the way it is, I will, to the extent possible, make sure that I live to the commitment I have made to make this budget, the deficit, to come down from the current 5.7 to 4.4. And I want to move it further next year. I have said we are better off, building our own resources, using our own taxes. And I have told the people of Kenya, let us be honest to ourselves. We are not overtaxing ourselves. Our taxes are 16% of GDP. Our peers, South Africa, Tunisia, Morocco, and the others, they are at 22, 25, 28% of GDP. If we have to measure up our public goods, if we have to build the roads, if we have to get our education up to standard, if we have to get our health and water and all the other public goods up to standard, we have to pay taxes. We have to agree which areas, can we stimulate so that we do more manufacturing, we do more value addition. By the way, part of the reason why we are in this hole is because our manufacturing came down, from 9% of GDP to 7. I want to move it to 15. By the way, our exports as a percentage of GDP came down from 28% 8 years ago to 10% this year. We just stopped exporting. That's why, if you look at the budget this year, we have introduced export and investment promotion levy on goods that can be manufactured in Kenya. Whether it is cement, we have enough capacity to manufacture. Whether it is clinker, we have enough to manufacture. Furniture, steel. Where we have enough capacity to manufacture responsibly as a country, we must stop importation. We must have,
from Kenya.
And that is why, if you look at my whole budget, I am doing two things. Where we cannot avoid, we raise taxes that are paid by the majority of Kenyans, like VAT on fuel. What we have also done, we have reduced RDL, Railway Development Levy, from 3.5% to 2.5%. We have reduced IDF, import declaration fee, from 2% to 1.5%. We have also reduced many other taxes because I am sensitive that we have to be careful how we tax. We must tax responsibly.
Yeah.
It is possible for us to move our tax as a percentage of GDP from 14 to 16%, as I am proposing in the budget, responsibly. We can balance out. That's why we are removing tax on gas. We are adding tax here because we want to balance. And we want to make sure that everybody, you know, for example, let me give you another example. We have reinstated, before COVID, turnover tax was 3%. During COVID,
yep,
it was taken to 1%. We have reinstated it because COVID is behind us. Because we want also the people in the micro and small enterprise space to pay a little bit of tax. This tax cannot be paid for by a few people. We want to spread it. The same thing, we have also enhanced what we call advanced tax. The tax you pay for your car, you know, for my car, for all these vehicles we are driving, from 3,000, which was put in 2010. Now, 12 years later, my friend Latif, we have increased the number of roads. We have increased our bill on roads. We've increased it from 3,000 to 5,000 per year. So these are measures, and so we want everybody to carry a bit of the tax. But we have reduced tax on pharmaceutical manufacture. We have reduced tax on manufacture of building products, building materials, so that we can also grow our
Mr.
local.
President, the main concern also